What's going on, everyone, and welcome into Expected Bets for your go-to podcast for all things hockey betting. I am Gator Betting, joined by my two co-hosts today. We got Gretzky Betskis and Franco the Banker. Guys, we are now on to the Minnesota Wild, home, the richest player in the NHL. Kirill Kaprizov signed a monster contract a few days ago. I was looking at the history of Kaprizov, and someone tweeted out the other day, and it all went back to a trade with which team?
To get that seventh round pick that they drafted him with?
Pick. I think it was a fifth for a sixth.
Who was it? Chicago?
No, it was Toronto. Fuck.
No. I brought this up.
Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia.
No. So in 2015, the Bruins sent a fifth-round pick to the Minnesota Wild for a fifth-round pick in 2016. Had they kept that draft pick, they would have been paying the NHL's richest player.
Well, had they had the gonads to draft Kaprizov too.
Yeah, that's also very true. All right, getting into the Minnesota Wild, they had a record of 45, 30, and 7 last season, 97 points, finished fourth in the Central, lost in the first round to Vegas 4-2. That was a pretty competitive series, though. I will give the Wild credit. They did kind of exceed their expectations, I guess. They did make it a pretty tight series before Vegas won games 5 and 6. I think it was tied up 2-2 at one point. Am I wrong on that one, Franco?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It was like a late goal or late penalty or something stupid happened, and they blew that game.
Yeah.
Because I was on the Wild. I thought they had every chance in the world to win that series, and they kind of choked it away, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Looking at their underlying metrics, just like we did with Montreal, not necessarily a playoff team. They're 25th in goals for, 16th in goals against, 20th on the power play, 30th on the PK, 23rd in shots for, and 26th in shots against. Not a playoff team based on those analytics by any means. Going into this year, they did bring in a few new additions. They brought in Tarasenko. They brought in Sturm. Franco, is this a playoff team again, given the overall strength of the Central?
It'll be tough. The one thing to factor in, you're looking at the numbers, right? 25th in goals for, power play looks bad at 20th. But you missed half a season of Kaprizov. And he was on pace. He was the Hart favorite at the point before he got lost. He put up 56 points in 41 games. He looked fantastic. So that kind of has to be taken into account here when you're factoring in what they did last year. This was a team that once they lost him, they kind of played more of a shutdown, low and slow type of game, try to eke out wins, and they did a good job of it. Rossi really stepped up, Boldy really stepped up, and kind of showed that they can be stars in this league, which I think is a big thing for this team. They kind of got the experience that they needed to maybe take another step forward this year. Now they lost Zuccarello during the preseason, so that kind of stinks. But he's another guy that kind of has been in and out of the lineup over the last few years as well. So kind of got to factor that in when you're looking at this team. But adding Tarasenko, I'm like, it's all right, I guess. He's been kind of on the downturn over the last couple of years. I don't mind the Sturm addition. He's kind of a fourth line type of checking guy. But they do add a couple young players. Yurov looks like he could be pretty good. And Ogren played a little bit towards the end of last year. And I think he's going to make the roster now with the loss of Zuccarello. So you kind of get an infusion of a little bit more youth here. Hartman isn't in the lineup right now. So maybe, or no, he is. Sorry, he's on the third line. Move him down. Let's let some of these young guys get in there to lace in with the vets and see what you have. I think this team looks all right, though. They kind of learned how to win without the goal scoring last year. Now you get Kaprizov back. He gets the big contract. Can he stay healthy? I guess that's your biggest question. And then you add a guy like William to the blue line to add a little bit more excitement.
Yeah, Betsky, I was going to say this decor doesn't look bad at all with Middleton, Faber, Bouillon, Spurgeon, Ron. Like that's a solid top four. Gustafson and Wallstead. I guess that's kind of the issue too. Gustafson played well last year, 14th in goals saved above expected. But yeah, I mean, this team does look pretty solid. But again, we kind of see them as not necessarily with, let's say, Colorado and Dallas. It's almost that those middle teams now where you are looking at of Winnipeg, Utah, St. Louis, Minnesota. Like, again, this is going to be an absolute grind of a season for all teams in the Central, including Minnesota, to even get back to the playoffs.
Yeah, I would have to agree. And I know we mentioned all the injuries they had. Even Spurgeon missed about 20 games, a little bit less, but they were winning games still. So, I mean, it's easy to say they could, if they didn't have those injuries, they could have won more, but maybe not. I mean, they really flipped the way they played, and it was a very different team that year. And I'm like looking through the lineup, and it's just, it feels different with Tarasenko there and Johansson there. I know Zuccarella's out, but it seems like they may have almost lost too much grit. Or at least that type of grit is now like all solely on the fourth line. I don't know. I think this is going to be a transition year of kind of their identity. And I don't know which way that's going to take them. Is it going to take them to become more of a high-powered offense with a lot of speed and transition with Zeev Buium on the back end? Or are we going to have a Kaprizov who is a little less motivated now, and there's a little less heart and soul and piss and vinegar on this team, and they kind of can't find that identity? This is a little bit of a crossroads team for me, because I do think they are going to continually inject some of this talent, and this is a team that has one of the top prospect pools in the league. So I almost feel like they're going to have a little bit less points because the Central's tougher, because they may have a Kaprizov who got his first big check, and we got a little bit more youth on this team.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So they had 97 points last year. Looking at their team futures, DraftKings has them at 95.5. FanDuel has them at 94.5. They're still minus 150 to make the playoffs, plus 120 for no. 8-1 to win the division, 15-1 to win the conference, and 40-1 to win the Stanley Cup. However, with the odds drop off, do the books more so think this individual team is going to regress because of who they lost, or is it because the other teams in the Central Division got better as a whole?
That's the golden question here, huh?
I think it's the additions elsewhere that make them a little bit less appealing. I don't know. I think this team looks pretty good though, at least on paper. We'll see.
I was trying to think of the other forward they lost, because Marcus Foligno had a whopping 14 goals last year, and
Nyquist,
the guy No, they lost Frederick Gaudreau, who had an insane season for them.
Yeah, they trade him away like towards the deadline, right?
I thought he got picked up by Seattle this offseason. But him and Foligno were just like carrying this team at points.
Gaudreau was acquired.
18 goals. So Marcus Foligno and Frederick Gaudreau had a combined 32 goals last season.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Isn't
but again,
that?
You lost Kaprizov for 41 games.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Someone had to step
Totally.
up, you know.
No, I agree. So I guess what I'm getting at is it almost is like everything went right for them for stepping up with one of the best players in the entire league being out for so long and having your captain out for almost 20 games. And they were able to carry on. So now you have more youth. Again, you have a Kaprizov who just became the richest player in the league. I don't know. I think maybe I'm just trying to find an excuse to believe that the Utah Mammoth are going to make the playoffs, but I feel like this team's going to take a small step back. And Gustafson's been one of the most up and down goaltenders in the league, and if last year was an up season, then you got 50-50 that.
No, I would agree. In terms of awards, Kaprizov is 12-1 to win the Art Ross. He was 5th in points per game played last season, 5th in points in 2021-2022. Bouillon, 16-1 to win the Calder. I guess those are the two that you would really look at when, if you're dying to place a bet on one of these awards for the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I like Bouillon quite a bit. I actually got him when it was in the 2000s, a little bit earlier this offseason. If he gets to be on that top power play unit like everybody's projecting, he could be racking up some big points this year. Again, I think it's going to be really, really difficult for a defenseman to take it 2 years in a row. But this year's got two with Zane Parak and Bouillon, who are really, really interesting. And all it takes is Demidov to maybe not click quite as much as people thought, and that Calder race gets wide open.
Yeah. I think it's certainly one of the more intriguing awards that we have this season. I mean, yeah, you could argue at least 10 to 15 guys for the Calder this year. I think there's value to be had for sure.
I agree. It's not like Bedard when Bedard was like opened up at plus 150 or something and got to like minus 160. And even with his injuries, it was like, his is still going to be his. Like,
yeah.
This is just Demidov not quite living up to expectations. And you got 4 to 5 guys I like.
Agreed. Player futures, Franco Kaprizov is at 43.5 goals, 25 last year in 41 games played. He had 46, 40, 47 in those previous years. His point total is at 105. Boldy's point total is at 72.5. Boldy had 73 last year, which was his career high. Any thoughts on some player futures for the Minnesota Wild?
Probably prefer the Boldy over 72.5 over the Kaprizov ones. The Kaprizov ones feel like they're at the top of his outcomes. I mean, he could score 50 goals this year if he's healthy and really wants to prove his contract and his worth. I could see it. And again, you're adding a playmaking defenseman, which this team really kind of hasn't had. I mean, Spurgeon's been up there in age. He's missed a lot of time over the last couple of years. Faber's not really like a full offensive defenseman, so they really haven't had like a exciting puck moving defenseman. If William could be like the Cale Makar light for this team, so to speak, that's just going to open the offense up, and this team is going to be more exciting, better on the power play, more goals. So, I think Boldy took a big step last year, and 72.5. He'll be stapled to Kaprizov. I do think Kaprizov has a good year, so I like that the best, just given that it's a lower number.
Yeah, I mean, Boldy's on that second line right now with Rossi and Tarasenko, but again, we don't know with the news of Zuccarello being out if he's going to jump up. My only thing, too, you mentioned the points total for Kaprizov being at the high end of things. I think they're at the high end of things when you're looking at Boldy as well. 73 last year, which was his career high. 69 and 63 years before. Not saying, I mean, he's certainly gone up every year with this points, but it's just always a little tentative when you're looking at a guy coming off a career season. But he is going to be on that first power play unit most likely as well. So I don't hate it, but there's no props in general that really jump out to me like we've had with Dallas and Colorado and even Chicago when we talked about them before.
Don't forget, too, like I was saying earlier, they really try to play that defensive game once they lost Kaprizov. I don't see that being the same case this year. So he had a career year last year on a team that wanted to play 2-1 games. And he's still young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true.
2019 draft class.
45 wins last year for this team. Gustafson's win totals at 29.5. He had 31 last year. Again, his career high.
I think it indicates that they'll want to go towards the young Wallstead more than what they had to rely on Gustafsson for last year with Marc-Andre Fleury.
in the 2 starts, though, Wallstead he had a 4.09 goals against average and a .843 save percentage. So if he's not available to go, more games are going to get tossed Gustafsson's way. He already played 58 last year. That's
I think
an
you have to
interesting
lighten his load. You have to lighten his load.
I think so too.
I do too.
So for that reason, I would almost lean under on his win total this year.
Yeah. Wow, they just dropped it so much, though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a really interesting team when you're trying to kind of navigate this futures market. Any other?
Interesting to think that they drop his win total, but they raised the points.
No, they lowered the points too.
They did lower the points from what they
slightly
97 last year, and they're at
95
and 94. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think this team's going to be better than you guys are thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We will see. All right, we want to thank everyone for tuning in to today's episode of Expected Bets 4. Be sure to subscribe and like this video if you haven't done so already. You can also follow us on social media at Expected Bets 4 on Twitter and on Instagram. Once more, we appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys later. See ya. What's going on, everyone? The NHL season is almost here, and we have something special for all the fans and bettors out there.
Yeah, right now, if you click the link in our description, you can get the full Tails package for $40 off. That is by using code SEASON25, and you can get our package that's normally $120 just for $80.
Yeah. In addition to that, you'll also get access to our one-stop shop betting guide loaded with team, player, individual team breakdowns, all the futures you could possibly want. So be sure to click that link in the description to sign up now.
Yeah, it's like ChatGTP put in an Excel sheet for you so you can rip through all of those future props. Again, make sure you're liking and subscribing all the Expected Bets 4 video content as well to help us grow. And we can't wait to be smacking in some parlays and straights with you all season long.